Hello friends, this is Amit Lachwani here. Currently we are in week 9 of FS 575 class, which is Food Quality Management. And this week we are giving oral presentations on the major phase of the DEMIEC cycle in Six Sigma. So the outline for this presentation, what we're going to be talking about in the next few slides is the first thing we're going to talk about is the major phase of DEMIEC cycle, what actually the major phase means, what things do we look at when we talk about the major phase. The next one will be the quick recap of the defined phase that we did a few weeks back. We defined our project goals, what we're going to be achieving at the end of the project and how we're going to be achieving it. And then now we will review some data that I have collected so far. It's not a lot of data, it's just 3 weeks of data that I have collected. Then we will see some trends, what the data is showing us, where are we at the project currently, and what will be the next steps. So, few things that we look at when we talk about the major phase. The first thing that we look at is the value stream map flow. What this tells us, what your data is showing you, or how your data will be flowing from point A to point B, and what are you going to be doing with that data, how you're going to be utilizing that data in the process. This will be covered under the value stream map flow. Next is identify the key inputs, process, and the output matrices. What this point tells is, what are your inputs and what is the process steps, and from those process steps, what are your output matrices. So what data do you collect at each individual step? As for example, if you're talking about the input, so any data related to your ingredients would be covered under the input, key inputs. Processes, your in-process data, when you're converting an ingredient to a product, what things are you measuring in your process, that's going to be covered under the process. And output is, uh, checking the attributes for your finished product would be covered under the output matrices. Develop the operational definition. So how your operation is going to look like. What are some of the sub processes, all that you're going to cover under the develop operational definition step. Next is develop the data collection plan. um, this steps tells you, how you're going to be collecting the data, where are you going to be collecting it from, who's going to be responsible for collecting it, what tools are you going to use to collect the data. All those things are going to be explained or covered under the data collection plan. Next is validate the measurement system. As I said, we have to identify the tools that we're going to be using to collect the data. So whether those tools are they validated to collect the data, the kind of data that you intend to collect. For example, if you want to measure the pH in your process, so the pH meter that you are using in your process, is that validated, is that calibrated, all that's going to be explained under the validation of measurement systems. Final is collect the baseline data. So every day when you make a product, doesn't look like every day your process runs the same way as it ran yesterday. There are some variables that keeps on changing day from day. So the baseline data is, taking that noise out from the picture. How does your data look? That's considered the baseline data. The next one is the bench, determine the process capability. Capability is, no matter whatever tools and process you put in place, ultimately at the end of the day, what your process is capable to achieve, that's what you're going to be proving from the process capability. This is important when you have this similar kind of process um, at the same site or in multiple sites. You kind of create a benchmark process, the best one out of them, that's considered the benchmark, and how does your other processes relate to your benchmark process? That's what you're going to be comparing it. And what are the differences between the two process? That's what you look into detail when you talk about the process capability. So finally, not finally, we still halfway in the presentation. A quick recap to the define phase. What I said, what were my goals that I defined in the define phase, um, what things I want to achieve, and what are the things that I was going to look into. Let's look some into that. So my first goal was weight management. I decided, that I want to lose 5 pounds per month for at least 4 months. So it's total of 20 pounds. No, it looks a lot, but I'm making some good headway to this goal. The next one was blood pressure control. Maintain blood pressure under 120 mm of Hg. I still don't have any tools or measurement tools related to this goal, but the main reason behind it is, I haven't been checking the blood pressure every day. I've been very random with this, but I'll plan on developing some measurement tools to achieve this goal as well. So far, what are some of the activities that I have been tracking to achieve my goal? The first one is the desert intake. So the data that I have been collecting regarding this point is whether I'm taking desert after the meals, yes or no. It's simple. If I'm taking, I mark it as yes. If I'm not taking, I'll mark it as no. The next one, what I have been measuring is the steps that I walk every day. So my plan or the target was to walk at least 10,000 miles, not 10,000 miles, 10,000 steps, at least 4 times in a week. And this was measured using the iPhone application, and the data was recorded in the Excel sheet, which we're going to look into the next slide. So here it is. Data was collected from 9/11 2017 to 9/30 2017. It's a 3-week span. Not a lot of data, as I said earlier, but still good enough to see some kind of trend. So as I said, I'm gonna be walking 10,000 steps for at least 4 times in a week. As you can see, in week number 1, I was able to achieve what I decided that I will be doing. As far as the step goes, week 2, the same thing. I was able to achieve 10,000 steps for at least 4 days in a week. Week 3, I kind of fell a little short. I only walked more than 10,000 steps for only 3 days in that week. As far as the desert intake goes, most of the days I was successful, not taking the deserts after the meal, but there were a few days which kind of skewed away. I was very tempted to eat deserts those days. Those were one of the cheat dates for me. So the final column is showing if I was able to achieve my steps goal, and also I was able to achieve my desert goal. My final goal was met, that I recorded as yes, and if it wasn't met, I recorded it as no. Next step is kind of plotted this data on a scatter plot. So as you can see here, these dots here are less than 10,000 steps, and these are more than 10,000 steps. So as I said, I was able to achieve my goal for first week. 4 of the days I was able to walk more than 10,000 steps. Week number 2 also I was able to achieve my goal, what I decided I'm going to be doing. I walked for 4 days more than 10,000 steps, but one thing to notice here is the average number of steps is kind of going in a downward trend, and it's continued to go downward trend for the week number 3 as well. For week number 3, majority of it is because, as I said, only 3 days I was able to achieve the 10,000 step goal. I don't want to continue in this downward trend. I want to go upward, and this is what we're going to be looking in the next steps. What are some of the hindrances in the project? what are some of the root causes and how we're gonna overcome and come up with some of the action plans. The good way to find out the root causes by cause and effect diagram, which is shown here in the fishbone. I'm not going to be going much in detail into this because this is what we're going to be discussing in the analyze and the improvement phases. Finally, I would like to thank everybody to watch my presentation. Hope you guys are having a good week so far. Thank you.